Vegetarians consume no animal flesh. Red meat, poultry, and seafood are avoided, but they may consume other animal products depending upon personal preferences. For example, lacto-ovo vegetarians consume both dairy products and eggs, ovo-vegetarians consume only eggs, and lacto-vegetarians consume only dairy products. Being a vegetarian or even vegan can mean a lot of different diet changes, especially for people who've never had a diet change before, but it can also lead to a healthier lifestyle and increased energy levels. There are pros and cons to whether you are a vegetarian or not, and I'll be going over those. There are health benefits, cost benefits to being a vegetarian. There are health risks and cost risks to not being a vegetarian as well. So I'll go over those, and for those of you who do choose to be a vegetarian, I will also be going over meat and protein supplements. But if you are a vegetarian, you can have a huge lack of nutrients and vitamins like iron, B12, omega-3 fats, especially if fish is not consumed, vitamin D, and calcium for those of you who are only ovo-vegetarians and consume no dairy products. But for all vegetarians, they will most likely have a lack of iron. Red meat especially is a meat that contains a lot of iron. Spinach is a vegetable that does contain iron, which can be supplemented in for red meat, but red meat is still needed. And daily vitamins are a great way to counteract your lesser intake of nutrients. Other supplements for red meat, like besides spinach, like I know almond milk has a high amount of calcium and normally says about 50% more calcium than regular milk on the box of almond milk. And just because if you're a vegetarian, that may mean for you eating less. And just because you're eating less, especially less meat, you may also feel the need to eat less food in general, but that is not healthy. That is not good for you at all. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're eating healthier, and that can lead to further dietary problems and health problems. And sudden changes in diet can also shock your body. There have been cases where if people have not consumed meat for so long, and say like 8 years later they'll consume meat, they'll throw up immediately because their body is not used to having it in them. It kind of shocks their digestive system. And the same thing could happen if you suddenly cut cold turkey on meat or even animal byproducts. They're things your body is not used to living without, especially if you've never been vegetarian or vegan, or anything in your entire life. And according to the American Heart Association, a vegetarian diet can be unhealthy if it contains too many calories or saturated fat and not enough important nutrients. So going back to the important nutrient idea, it is very important that you intake enough fruits and vegetables, but you're not also intaking too many grains or too many saturated fats, like junk food. You think, oh, I ate this for breakfast, I didn't have any meat, so I'll have this instead, like no sausage, let me have 2 donuts. Like that's not necessarily how it works. You still need a balanced diet. Some of the health benefits of being a vegetarian, though, the World Cancer Research Fund published a report in 1997 that recommended we lower our risk of cancer by choosing predominantly plant-based diets rich in a variety of fruits and vegetables and minimally processed starchy staple foods. So they pretty much suggested to limit the intake of grilled, smoked, and processed meats and fish, because apparently that's a carcinogenic. But less on the extreme end of health benefits of being a vegetarian, it can reduce the risk of heart disease and blood pressure. It can help lower blood pressure, which helps with cardiovascular diseases if those are existing or possibly future. The other thing is that the data from the NHANES study revealed that consuming fruit and vegetables 3 or more times a day, compared with less than once a week, was associated with a 27% lower incidence of stroke, as well as a 27% lower cardiovascular disease mortality. So back to that cardiovascular health, it can really help with that if you are having problems with that currently. Also, 90% of people who follow a vegetarian or vegan diet reported being or having better energy levels than before. So as I mentioned in the beginning, it can help increase your energy level. I know of certain people who do feel and stick to the fact that they have so much more energy, they feel so much better, they can get up in the morning, no problem, they can go to bed at night, no problem, because they are vegetarian. And some of the cost benefits, there's a side to both of the cost benefits, whether you are vegetarian or not. There are protein-rich foods such as eggs and beans can be cheaper than meat, and the amount of money you spend on like nutrient supplements each year as a vegetarian can amount to less, if not as much, possibly more. So, I mean, it really depends on how you shop, but you can spend less, more, or the same amount as non-vegetarians if you are a vegetarian on meat supplements. And less money spent on antibiotics each year by eating meat, especially undercooked meat. If you consume undercooked meat, you can become sick, and you will probably have to go to the doctor and get antibiotics to help. But on the other end, if you're a vegetarian and again say you're not consuming enough nutrients and say you pass out at work, you have to go to the doctor, you have to get checked out, you suddenly realize, oh crap, like I'm not getting enough nutrients, and then you do have to spend all this money as well to go to the doctor and to find a way to get healthier, to recover. So whether you are a vegetarian now or not, or want to be vegetarian now or not in the future, good luck, and keep in mind that a balanced diet is really all you need.